Roy-Hart Drama Club presents A Minor Exchange, written and directed by Edward Murphy.
Hello? Honey, are you home? Huh. Guess she must be out.
Last night, tragedy struck the city as what seems to be a ruptured gas line caused an explosion at the embassy.
Who's there?
Name's O'Leary. I'm with the city police.
What can I do for you?
I just need to speak with you, son.
Can I help you?
Where were you today?
Job hunting. You know how it's been recently.
I know.
You're not thinking I did anything, are you?
I'm not gonna arrest you. Trust me.
Come on in. What's this about, officer?
You might want to sit down.
And why's that?
As you might have heard, there was an incident this morning. Looks as natural as something like this could be. A ruptured gas line. Oh my goodness.
Just spit it out, man.
Son, your wife. She's gone.
What? How do you know?
How do I...
It was a fire, right? How could you tell it was her? She could still be alive.
Calm down, son. I'm sorry, but we have proof.
What proof? I don't see any proof.
Here then. It's her license. We found it in the street. Half burned. We found several other of her belongings as well.
Was there a body?
No, but those aren't always common. In the explosion and fire, it was just a mess inside.
Okay, thank you. Please, leave.
Sorry, son.
I need a drink. "10 years on the dot since I lost Susan, 1945. It was 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, the 16th, mid-October. So naturally, if you wanted to find me, I was at the local watering hole, drinking my memories away drop by drop. The feeling of rain wafting from a nearby open window cooled my face and lessened the burning in my nose. If I remember correctly, it was between the 6th and 7th bottle of the night when she flew into the bar with the rain. She wore the kind of lipstick that was dangerous in a place like this, but I didn't doubt she was well aware of that.
Mr. Jack Taylor, I presume? You are a hard man to find. I've searched at least 3 bars before finding you here.
Those are harsh words, considering that I don't usually take beatings for another 5 hours.
Sorry for interrupting so late, but it's important.
Most people only come to visit me if their problem is important.
Well, I hope my visit this late would have shown you how serious I am.
That's true. Most don't visit at 3 in the morning. So spill it. What's with the urgency?
Just listen. I need your help.
Yeah, you need my help. You and another 50 dames down this street.
So what? These people need I need your help, and you would rather waste your nights knee-deep in beer.
You're wrong.
Am I? You're here at 2 in the morning, and there's more bottles in front of you than behind the bar.
Wait.
What?
Just said it's 3.
Oh, forget this. You're not worth my time. I'm better off getting this thing done myself.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm not exactly at my most presentable right now.
I thought you weren't interested.
I'm curious. You grabbed my attention.
I'm not sure. I'd rather have a professional look at this.
Stop messing around and just show it to me.
Fine. Here you go.
The girl who I came to know as Mary opened up a large weathered document in front of me. It was a personal finance sheet filled with the sort of malarkey I wasn't the least bit qualified to understand. What is this?
This is a tax report.
I know that, but what's this got to do with anything? I don't cover tax evasion, out of my jurisdiction.
Look here. My husband signed it.
Roger Simmons? Sorry, still not seeing the big picture here.
The problem is, until this morning, I believed my husband was in the electrical equipment distribution business. So tell me, why is it marked here that he ordered $5 million worth of supplies from the Army surplus warehouse?
Well, that certainly is interesting. I'm going to need an address where I can trace where these forms came from.
Oh, you won't have a problem finding the place. Here it is.
She pulled out a small photo from her purse. It was yellowed with age, but the center frame subject was more than clear enough to distinguish its features. I must have had a confused look on my face because she asked,
Don't you recognize it?
Can't say I do.
I guess you don't have much experience looking at the city's skyline.
Are you going to tell me what it is, or are you just going to patronize me?
Well, since you so kindly gave me the choice, I think I'd rather continue patronizing.
Mary, just tell me what it is.
Look out the window.
So I did. Leaning out the open bar window, I saw the gargantuan monolith, looking like an idol to some unholy god, its shadow corrupting the skyline like an ink-stained manuscript.
That there is where I thought Roger conducted his power company.
Why are you showing me all this? What do you expect me to do? I ain't gonna knock him off if that's what you want. I'm not qualified for that kind of job.
I didn't know you needed a degree in murder.
You don't. Just makes the job easier. But seriously, what are you asking of me?
I have reason to believe that, in reality, my husband is working for the Kingsmen.
Pulling my leg?
I'm being honest, I swear.
I don't often take the words of women like you.
Do you often speak to other women like me?
Not in the slightest, but if I did, I wouldn't take their words either.
Well, surely you can make an exception for me?
Possibly. What's your end goal?
If I'm honest, I need out.
Out of what?
My marriage. These past few years have not been good to me, and neither has my husband. Frankly, if I had the evidence to lock him away on criminal charges, it wouldn't be difficult to divorce him.
It doesn't sound out of my capabilities, but these things are often harder than they seem. What do I really need to know?
The Kingsmen only have a set number of members, 32 to be exact. They aren't just going to let you waltz in.
What if I tango? How does one become a member of the Kingsmen?
Each member has a specific calling card. They don't care who's in the organization. It's more of a, as long as you hold the card, you're in situation.
All right, I'll look into it, and I'll holler if anything new happens.
I'll be heading out then. Have a good morning.
Thank you, Mary. It's been a pleasure meeting with you.
Not sure if I can say the same.
There was one thing I didn't tell Mary before I left her the previous night. I was familiar with the Kingsmen, as a soldier's finger is familiar with the trigger, as familiar as the city's hearts knew the cold, creeping loneliness of winter. I was certain that the Kingsmen would come knocking at my door, just thought it would be with a pair of cement shoes and high heels.
Taylor Detective Agency, sorry we are not open right now. Come back later, please.
Nancy, it's me. Please open the door.
I'm sorry, Mr. Taylor. I don't know me.
I'm not in the mood for joking, Nancy. Please, open the door.
Don't get your tie into a twist. I'm coming. You need to stop going home late.
What do you mean late? I'm an hour early.
You're wearing the same clothes as yesterday.
Damn. Thought you wouldn't notice.
Where'd you crash last night, and do I have to pay for damages?
Mulligan's Bar, and no, I was a regular old gentleman.
I'll believe it when I see it. But I'm serious, Jack. These streets are not safe enough to spend the whole night there.
Oh, are you worried about me?
Yeah, if you get knocked off on the way home, I'm out of a job. And you know how much I need this money. I don't suppose your nightly patrol actually resulted in something useful?
Actually, yes, in Mulligan's Bar, there was this woman who...
Isn't there always? Spare me the details.
She thinks her husband's leading an organized crime syndicate.
I've been there before.
Would you please focus? I need you to take some notes. All right. October 16th, I was confronted by a woman in distress at Mulligan's Bar. She states that Roger Simmons has a connection to the...
Wait, did you say Simmons?
What? Do you know something?
As a matter of fact, I do. I worked as his secretary for around 3 years.
What happened? Why'd you leave?
I didn't leave. It's just we both expected different things out of my career. I expected to have a career. He expected me to have my desk cleaned out by the end of the day.
Is that all?
Actually, no. I always suspected something was off about him. He would hold these large, elaborate parties in his penthouse. Very ritzy, never my taste. It was the people there. They had this kind of smile that I had seen 1,000,000 times before.
Where?
On wanted posters.
Interesting. Did you notice?
Were you expecting someone today?
No. Get down.
Taylor, open up. Now or we shoot.
Nancy, get down. Now.
What's your plan here?
I'm gonna hide in my office. Just pretend I'm not here. When they're distracted, I'll jump.
What am I supposed to do? You're just going to leave me here?
No, of course not. Just be cooperative. Act like I was never here. You'll live. Trust me.
All right, but if you're wrong and I end up dead, I'll kill you.
Only one chance to make this right. With each of the approaching slams, the door to my office got chipped away. Just a few moments left.
All right, Jack. You made your choice. Now it's time to face the big sleep.
Don't shoot, it's just me in here.
Don't you lie to me. I know Taylor's in here somewhere. Okay, you know what we're going to do? Taylor, you come out right now or I shoot this secretary's head off.
They're not lying, that much is for sure. Each second, however, they turn their back the slightest. If they stay confused, I'll get a chance to lunge. I just need something to disorient them.
Hey, wise guy, let me go!
Get back here, you rat!
Now's my chance. 3, 2, 1, and now! The thug stood right in front of my office window. I ran at them, charging the full weight of my body into their stomach. Ugh, good riddance. Nancy? Nancy!
I'm still here, boss, just a little disoriented.
Let me help you up.
So, about that raise.
Can it? I need your help. Go down to the street and search that body with me. Nancy and I walked down the stairs to the street and arrived to see a crowd already forming from the body bleeding out on the pavement. Out of the way, folks. Officer business.
You're not an officer.
I don't know that.
What are you looking for?
Gotta be in here somewhere. Maybe. Aha! This.
What is it?
It's a chess piece. A white knight, to be exact. This is my key to the Kingsmen.
So what?
It's their calling card. There are 32 members of the Kingsmen, each with a different chess piece. It seems we've killed their white knight.
So what are you going to do next?
Now I need to visit an old friend. And Nancy,
Yes, Jack?
I'm sorry for dragging you into this.
Don't be. I always knew what I was getting into when I signed up to work at your office.
October 17th, 1 p.m. I felt like my strings were being pulled by some horrid twist of fate, or perhaps something more sinister, as I gazed upon the ivory knight in my palm. What were the odds that the man with my old job, my old calling card, would waltz up to my office like a turkey delivered to your doorstep on Thanksgiving Day? I recognized the shift when I stepped into the old elevator. It was the transition between the people who got stepped on and the people who wore the boot. I wore the boot for 8 years, every day tying up the laces and doing the bidding of the Kingsmen. This moment I stood in the Parliament Hall of the Kingsmen, watching as the people around me moved like sand in the stream. In the front and center of the hall was the self-proclaimed Red King, Roger Simmons.
Ladies, gentlemen, please sit down. I understand our ranks have changed quite a bit since our last gathering, so that's something we must address.
Simmons was a short man, with a skull like a brand new bank vault. Strong, protective, and unbeknownst to his cronies, completely empty.
Please, sit down at the table. I will address the new members in order of rank. First, we have our new Red Pawn, George Reynolds, who arrives from the great city of Chicago.
Get on with it already.
You're right, I'm sorry. The man who just rudely interrupted me is George Reynolds from the city of Chicago.
Is that really what you want to do?
I'm sorry.
You want to criticize me? I shouldn't have joined. How can any of you stand this, taking orders from this illiterate...
Watch yourself.
This illiterate idiot.
And bingo. Get out of here.
What?
Get out of here. I didn't build this organization from the ground to be questioned by a man who's no more equal to me than a moth is to an owl. You're right, Mr. Reynolds. You didn't think men like you, they got lips for legs. They talk their way into the grave and then some. I pity you, Mr. Reynolds. You're so worried about being able to show the rest of these men that you're some hot shot that you don't even realize at the end of the day you are completely and utterly worthless to me. You don't have my respect. You have the bare minimum of decency I would give to any other fellow human. You want to tell the man what you did to earn that pawn?
I don't
Our
think
boy
that's-
Reynolds here didn't even kill the last member. He just so happened to be robbing the police evidence locker when he came across it. Is that the kind of man we want in our glorious organization?
Boo!
That's what I thought, boys. Take him out of here.
No, please, I'll prove myself, please.
I remember I used to ask Simmons, when choosing the colors for the Kingsmen, why white and red? Not the more common chess colors of white and black. He told me this.
Red is the color of passion. I want this group to know the Kingsmen, they mean everything to me. It's the fire in my heart and the oil in my gears. I'd die before letting this group fail.
I guess he had a few screws loose even then. Ugh, poor sap. But he made his own choices. The bottom rung of the ladder leaves no room to write opinions. Leaves room for two things and only two things. To get on your knees and beg for mercy, or death.
I'm truly sorry for that, everyone. I promise that tonight will not be without its pleasantries. Besides, it's time to rejoice. One of our fallen members have come back to grace us with his presence.
I felt the eyes in the room firing like a machine gun to my face. They were the eyes of traitors, scoundrels, thieves, and murderers. Yet at that moment, I felt like I was the worst of them all.
Mr. Jack Taylor, I'm pleased to announce is returning as the White Knight to the Kingsmen.
When Simmons invited me back to his office later that day, I wasn't worried. I had sat in this office numerous times before, but now felt different. Now instead of a partner, I was back to being a subordinate. I was meeting with a man who was capable of ending my path before it even started.
Mr. Taylor, how have you been?
Roger, skip the pleasantries. We've known each other long enough.
I was hoping you hadn't changed that much, and here I see my hopes weren't in vain.
It's good to see you, honestly.
You sure? I mean, the last time you and I were in this room, we didn't exactly end on pleasant terms.
I understand your concerns, but don't worry. I can promise that it's all water under the bridge.
Well, I suppose that means it's time to celebrate. Bishop, be a darling. May you bring in a bottle of the good stuff. Jack, have you met Bishop?
I'm sorry, but I don't believe I have.
That's right. She joined us shortly after you left. Not by much, a week at most.
Does she have a real name? You know, not her title?
Yeah, but she's one of these new types of criminals, the kind that doesn't feel secure using anything other than their code around here. She doesn't even think about showing up to meetings in anything except that stupid steel mask. It's embarrassing, you know. Me and you, we used to run this city. Now my employees act more like cowards than kings. You see what I'm getting at?
Can't say I do.
He's whatchamacallums. Wannabes. Don't feel safe under my wing anymore. How's that supposed to look to the cops?
Well, I can see how that would be a problem.
You're telling me. I'm just happy to have you back. This will be just what we need to get the Kingsmen back into shape.
Well, I'm honored.
You should be. It's not often when someone tries to leave the Kingsmen, they can just come back in as if nothing happened. A lot's on the line if you fail.
I understand. All the more reason for me to get started as soon as possible.
Good. Good about that, actually. I want you to take this.
What's this?
Well, after you left, it was Bishop who convinced me to start being more precise and subtle in the way we operate here.
So this book is...
It's a record of sorts, keeping the numbers in order. Someone wants someone dead, bam. We mark the date, person, and we can easily use it to calculate how much we charge. If you want something the city Uncle Sam doesn't want you to have, we'll bring it to you. Easy as pie. It's all a system. Quite genius, if I say so myself.
That's impressive. But what do you want me to do with it?
I want you to study and learn about how we work here now. We don't operate under the same rules we used to when you were here. We're past the days when guys like you and me get our hands dirty. It's uncivilized. We're office people. You want an office like this, right?
I understand. Yes, I believe I do. Is that all for tonight?
No, it's not. Pardon me for asking, but you haven't gone soft, have you?
What?
It's just there's been some talks, and I need to make sure you got what it takes.
If this is about what happened last time between us, don't worry about it. I'm back, Roger. I'm really in it this time.
I know, Jack. I know. It's not me that you need to convince. There's been talks among the group, mainly pawns. Don't worry about it, but they think you mean to do us in.
You're not putting your faith in the pawns, are you?
Calm down, Jack. I know it's unfair, but I'm not your enemy here. You just need to convince the men that you're really in it.
You know what I had to lose last time I was here.
You know I do, but that was years ago. None of these new bloods remember. You need their trust.
Fine. How?
Nothing complicated, just a simple job. Get your hands dirty once to show the men you know what you're doing.
Sounds easy enough.
It should be.
What are you thinking?
Nothing too radical, just a transport job.
What? Weapons? Sauce?
Even easier than that. A person.
A person? Wait, Roger, do you want me to kidnap someone?
No, if I meant kidnap, I would have said kidnap. This morning I was given a call by some poor chap who was being stalked by the cops. He wants to stay here until they get off his back.
I thought we had the cops in our pockets.
We do, normally, but this guy's, there are a lot of public scrutinies. Cops really can only help us when the city's not breathing down their neck. The public wants this guy in jail, so the cops need this guy in jail.
Why do we want him?
Guy's loaded. I'm talking like Rockefeller. And because he'd be hiding for a long time, he's granted the King's men sole control over his assets.
I can see the benefit. I'll accept it.
Lovely.
Do we have a location?
We do, actually, right off the Brooklyn Bridge. You won't miss him.
When should I leave?
Tonight, 11 at the latest.
Isn't that a little late?
Yeah, it is, but this coward won't step out into open air unless he's covered by darkness first.
Fine. Is that all?
Should be. Bring him back here, and you and me will be square.
Perfect.
Wait, Jack.
Yes?
I trust you won't fail me?
You know I won't.
Jack,
Yes?
why did you think to take me with you tonight?
Simple enough. Half the time, the guy never shows up because the police bag him. I mean, you couldn't have picked a more conspicuous place to pick him up.
Rich guys like him, the only places in New York they see are the ones on the postcards. So how was it at your meeting?
It was weird. Half the guys I used to know were gone, but it didn't feel like time passed a day in there.
I can understand that. Certain things in life are more about the feeling you get from them rather than the specific people.
Yeah, I suppose.
Remind me again how picking up some bum is going to help us topple a criminal syndicate?
It's easy enough. Roger said he'd want me to study the ledger, but only after I prove myself. I get the ledger, I bring it to the mayor, and next thing you know, Roger's behind bars.
Sure, but what time is he even supposed to get here?
Roger said 11, but as I said, half the time these guys don't even...
Excuse me, are you a Mr. Jack Taylor?
Depends on who's asking.
I'm a Mr. Howard Maroney. I believe you are the man I hired for the evening.
Who'd you hire me from?
Roger Simmons, who else? Now you are the man for me, correct?
Suppose you're right. All right, hop in.
Can the lady move? I'd prefer to sit in the front.
Now I've half a mind to leave you on the street.
How rude. Need you forget that I'm the one who's graciously paying you?
Listen, number one, you ain't paying us out of kindness. We're taking your money because you'd be in jail any other way. Number two, we don't need the cops to see you in the front seat. You're gonna lay down in the back until we get to the safe house.
But,
Unless you want us to leave you to rot in prison, as my companion suggests.
fine.
So, tell me, Mr. Maroney, what do you do for a living?
I used to run a local bank.
Well, that certainly doesn't seem like a career that commonly ends in a public scandal.
It was the way I ran it.
Which bank was it? I'm curious if I'm familiar with it.
The Emigrant Savings Bank.
Curious.
What's curious?
Oh, nothing. I just used to have an account there when I was younger.
Small world, huh?
Guess so.
Oh, I remember. You're the banker who allegedly embezzled all of the bank's funds into his private account.
Allegedly is the key word there. They haven't proved me guilty yet, and they aren't going to. So you're familiar with my work, aren't you?
Well, I've only just skimmed a few articles. It's quite interesting, you know. Turning a bank meant to give immigrants hope into your mousetrap.
Can you shut her up? I came here to get help, not to listen to someone criticize my every action.
I'm not saying anything that isn't true.
Doesn't matter. I asked you to shut up, you stupid.
That's it. Out.
You can't be serious.
Try me. Do you know what I don't like about you, Mr. Maroney?
No. What?
I don't care how intelligent you are not very wise. Most men would do better not to criticize those who are charged with saving them.
Most men would do better not to accuse those who are giving them their entire fortune.
If you would like to step out, that can be easily arranged.
Fine. This isn't going to work. Drop me off at the next block. And tell your boss the deal's off.
Are you sure about that, buddy? I wouldn't recommend it.
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay, here you go. Have a good day.
Thanks for nothing.
Jack, what are we going to do now?
What do you mean?
Well, for starters, without Mulroney, we aren't getting that ledger.
I can see this is your first human smuggling.
What do you mean?
Guys like this want it all. They only regret their decisions when it's too late. I count that in less than 10 seconds, he's going to walk by a police officer and get so spooked he'll come running back to the car with his tail between his legs.
How can you be so sure about that?
Well, I can see him running back right now.
May you please open the door?
Back so soon?
There was a cop down the road. He might have seen me.
He probably did, and soon there'll be more where that came from.
Can you let me back in?
I don't know. I don't appreciate rude passengers.
Fine. I'm sorry. I'll shut up. Now, will you please open the door?
It's not me you need to apologize to.
Fine. Miss, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Now, can I come in?
If you insist, in the back.
Don't rub it in.
The rest of the ride was less than entertaining. Maroney was quiet as a church mouse the entire drive.
Is this it?
Yep, this should be the drop-off point. Mr. Maroney, this is where we part ways.
I wish I could say this was a pleasure.
Wait, about the money.
The money, yes, you harpy. My account should be transferring the funds to Mr. Simmons as we speak.
October 18th, 6 a.m. This morning I received a call at my office from Simmons. He sounded stressed, like the weight of the world was pushing on his shoulders. He asked me to drive back out to his office and ask for a meeting at 3. I accepted, against my inner judgment. Good morning, Bishop. Is Simmons in?
Oh, I'm sorry. He's actually going to be a few minutes. He's still talking things with Mr. Maroney.
How's Maroney settling?
Not well. I assume it's been a while since he's lived without someone waiting on him hand and foot.
I understand. I would have expected as much seeing as how he behaved in my car yesterday.
Well, it's all worth it now. The money's in our accounts.
Just out of curiosity, what happens to the bank now that Maroney's gone?
Shut down, completely empty. Maroney took that entire business's money, so now it's up to the city government to decide what's going to happen with the building.
What do you think they'll do with it?
I think they'll leave it empty, at least for another year. They aren't going to make a decision for a long time.
It's a shame, isn't it?
What is?
That bank was beneficial to a lot of immigrants who needed loans for housing. Now they got nothing.
You forget yourself, Mr. Taylor. Let the man who hasn't sinned throw the first stone.
You're right. I'm not one to talk. Can I ask you something?
Shoot.
Why do you wear that mask?
People in this world assign their face to beliefs. Deep down, people don't believe others can change. We associate beliefs to faces. So therefore, if I never show my face, I'm never restricted to what I believe.
I don't know. I think it's the job of people to carry their choices with them.
It's interesting that you say that.
How so?
I took you for the kind of man who likes to run from his failings.
I'm sorry I'm late.
Don't worry about it. I was just becoming acquainted with your assistant.
Lovely. Well, step into my office. I need to talk to you.
Is everything all right?
Everything's fine. Can you please sit down?
Yeah, sure.
So as you heard, we have Maroney in our custody.
It's got to be a big win for you.
Yes, massive. Overall, it seems like the job went well.
As smooth as picking up a guy like him can be.
Yeah, I can understand that. Wait a minute, where are my manners? Mr. Jack Taylor, welcome back officially to the Kingsmen.
Thanks, Roger.
And as I said before, I need you to take this. The ledger.
So what's my plan now?
Take the weekend off, use that time to become familiar with the paperwork, and on Monday morning you'll be back at your old original schedule.
Is this everything you called me in here for?
Certainly, I'd be wasting valuable time if I didn't give you the ledger before the weekend. Are you expecting more?
Not really. You just seemed rather out of it on the phone.
Yeah, I was feeling a little hectic. I got a questionable shipment of materials, and let's just say I was spending my morning putting out fires before they started. Sorry if that caused you any alarm.
No, it's fine. Just wanted to make sure my work was satisfactory.
Don't worry about it. You'll make all your hair go out.
That's it, then I'll be leaving.
It's all right with me. Jack,
Yes?
you forgot the ledger.
Oh, right. Silly me.
Have a good weekend, Jack.
You too. Could it have been this easy? Did the fool seriously hand me a record of all of his crimes? All they had left was to get this over to the police, and then there was no way Simmons could walk away this time.
So, is the target in place?
Yes.
Did you believe you would just give him the evidence?
After the way Jack parted from the Kingsmen the first time, I believe he's always took me for an idiot. He underestimated me, plain and simple. He doesn't think I'm capable of playing the long game.
Aren't you worried he could still send that to the city officials?
My wife won't allow it. She's playing with her cards close to her chest, which is a fine strategy, but doesn't work when I'm the only one in charge of the rules. Mark my words, Jack won't even get a chance to hand it in.
So when do we show Jack our cards?
Soon. Very soon. But at this moment, I suspect we'll be able to gain more leverage over Mr. Taylor. I don't think we should waste it.
"3 p.m. I began thumbing through the ledger in the alleyways of the city, away from all prying eyes. I came across a ripped section, presumably the same page Mary brought me in the bar. It had been an hour since Mary was supposed to meet me here. Is it a setup? Where is she? Would Roger jump out at any moment and render all my work moot? My worries were put at ease when I saw her car pull down the street.
Sorry, I had to make sure no one would be able to find my location.
Don't worry, I understand.
So how did your plan work?
Just as expected, he handed me his ledger, plain and simple.
I thought men like you were smarter than that.
What do you mean?
Men with half a brain. My husband may not be the smartest, but he has enough sense to follow the ledger around. You'd be better off handing it to me.
Why?
Well, he believes you have it, so if tomorrow morning he spends all day watching to see if your car leaves your house, he'll get nothing. If I take it to the city hall, he will have no reason to suspect either of us did it, because he doesn't even know I know who you are.
Suppose that makes sense? You have to promise me that you won't let this out of your sight.
Of course, I didn't go through all this trouble just to turn you in.
Alright then, here you are.
Thank you.
Guess that means we'll be parting now.
I mean, it doesn't have to be, does it?
What do you have in mind?
Would you like to go to dinner with me?
Suppose that should be fine. We probably should both change first, though. Where do you want to go? 8 p.m. The Copacabana was the hottest joint in town at the time. Anybody who was anybody spent their weekend nights here. While I never really considered myself to be a part of the, how you say, elite, every member of the Kingsmen pretty much got into any club in town, and seeing as this was my last night in the Kingsmen, I was thankful to be spending it here.
Jack?
Mary? Oh, you look, swell.
Thanks. You look adequate as well.
Should I grab us a table?
That would be lovely, thank you.
I looked around me. This place was a cesspool for illegal activity, just as much as any area in New York. Only difference was, these folks had money.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
You looked like you were dozing off. What did I say?
Said that you were, you caught me. I don't know.
I asked what your plan was after I drop off the ledger.
Simple enough. I'm gonna be cutting off a lot of people's payday, so I'm best off just leaving this town.
Just like that? I find that highly remarkable considering you've lived here your whole life.
I think it's high time I move out west, settle down, start a family.
Never felt that life was meant for settling down.
Coming from a married woman.
I never asked to get married. I needed the money and Roger just happened to be the man best suited to fixing that problem.
What's your problem with marriage?
Marriage these days is a woman being paid thousands of dollars just so she can no longer have fun. Look around you. Half these men are married, but I'm certain half these women aren't their wives.
Let me ask you something. How did a girl like you even end up with a guy like Roger anyways?
When I was younger, my father ended up in a bad accident. He became paralyzed from the waist down. He was fired for no longer being able to work, and he couldn't find another job that would take him with his condition. Eventually, the hospital bills started piling up, so I went out to find a job for myself. I was hired to work as Roger's secretary. He said the old one couldn't keep up anymore. He started asking about my home life, and I told him everything that happened about the accident and all of that. Next morning when I got home, there was a basket full of cash on my doorstep. It was from Roger. He asked me out on a date later that afternoon. I guess I did it more out of obligation than desire.
That's an interesting story. So, if it wasn't for your father...
I never would have married him anyway.
So, what made you change your mind now about all this?
Well, my father passed away just last month. In some twisted sense, it felt like.
Like a debt had been paid. I understand that. Now, listen, Mary, I need to be honest with you two now. It's only right.
What is it?
I had a long history with Roger. Longer than yours. I used to work with him. I used to be like him, the same kind of guy, just believing that the only reason to do something was to get something out of it.
What changed your mind? A life of luxury isn't the easiest thing to give up.
When I used to work for Roger, I was actually married. She was a nice girl, really something special, but she passed away.
Oh, how awful.
Well, I just felt like afterwards that the work I was doing with Roger, well, it wasn't the kind of work that would have made her proud, so I quit.
You just quit? I didn't believe it could be that simple.
It's not usually for most guys, but Roger understood. I think he just always believed I'd be back sooner than later, and boy was he wrong.
But your new job, has it worked out better for you?
Not really. The kind of people that have the need to hire a private investigator, they aren't usually the people who deal with the cleanest of problems.
What's it like, spending so much of your time at the threshold between life and death?
You get used to it.
I don't think I ever would.
Sure you would. If you cross your eyes, thousands of bullets can become no different than a light rainfall. It's about perception, just making the brain see what it needs to see.
Well, I hope you know I wouldn't have hired you if I knew about your past experience with the Kingsmen.
It's an awfully big coincidence that you hired the one PI with the past there. What made you come to me first? Oh, must have been Nancy. I told her I didn't want my name and location strung up all over town.
Who's Nancy?
My secretary, real nice lady. She thought that advertisements would bring in better business. I told her no, but it seems like she went on ahead and made it anyway. But, hey, an advertisement can't be too bad if it allowed me to meet you.
She sounds like a fascinating lady. I'd love to meet her someday.
Oh, you will. You certainly will. I'd take you there tonight. It seems to be getting awfully late.
Oh, yes, my goodness it is. You better draw this night to a close if I'm ever to make it back home in time.
You know, if Simmons is going to be taken into custody tomorrow, you might need a place to hide out and stay safe. Maybe me and you could.
Mr. Taylor, are you asking your client on a date? That is very unprofessional.
I'm an unprofessional sort of guy. So what do you say?
I'd be glad to accept.
Swell. After you drop off the ledger in the morning, stop by my place and we'll go out.
What time?
Anytime. Just make sure you hand in that ledger first.
Okay, well, until then, Mr. Taylor.
Who is it?
Nancy, can you let me in?
What a surprise. You're 10 hours late to work. You look chipper. Are you sick?
Just the normal things to be pleased about. I finished up a case. I'm just happy.
So you have that ledger.
Yes, I gave it to Mary. She'll bring it to the mayor in the morning.
Well, that's a great cause for celebration.
Actually, I've just got done celebrating with Mary. I'm quite tired.
Are you sure about that? I can crack open the good schnapps.
Oh, all right, just one glass. Then I'm going to turn in for the night.
I hope you're not planning on driving.
Why not?
I can tell you're hopped up on giggle water. I'll move the couch into your office. Just don't think about driving home tonight.
Fine.
Here you are.
To us.
To us. Okay, you turn in for the night. I'm heading home.
Hey, why are you going home? You just drank.
Unlike you, I walk. Good night, Jack.
Good night, Nancy. Well, I suppose now's as good a time as any to hit the hay. Ugh, Nancy was right. May have celebrated too hard today. Just a few more steps. Almost there.
October the 19th, 1 a.m. I felt sick. A wave of nausea washed over me as I pulled up to my house. It was odd. I hadn't felt a smidge of guilt about my actions against my husband, but here, gazing upon our house, my nerves were aflame. This place was cold for too long, without love, without affection. Crystallized in its picturesque beauty, it was unnatural.
So was this your plan? Take me for a fool? Slip out in the middle of the night? Where were you?
Something came up. You know I had to leave.
Don't lie to me! Your lipstick smudged. Where were you?
You're right. Fine. I'll tell you. I'm sick of being with you. I'm sick of you, Roger. I want to leave.
That's not your choice to make, Mary. Don't be absurd. I built you up in this city. You were mine and mine alone. Bishop, restrainer.
Right away, sir.
No, please let me go.
Now you're gonna tell me, who were you out with?
I won't.
Can I give you a hint? That's not the right answer.
Please let me go.
Are you stupid or stubborn? Bishop,
Much obliged.
set it down. It's time for another meeting. Bishop, bring in a few drinks. I have a few things I need to say to my wife.
You knew, didn't you? You knew that I went to Jack? Oh no. You have a trap plan for him.
I have a trap plan? My dear, he's already in one. You see, Mary, you've underestimated me. And now, at this moment, my plans are being set into motion. So now I need to ask, where is my ledger?
I don't have it. I gave it to Jack.
No, you didn't. I'm going to ask you again. Where is my ledger?
I won't give it to you.
I guess we need some incentive. Bishop, bring in the incentive.
Which one?
The large one. Thank you. Now I'll ask you one last time. Where is the ledger? If you don't answer, I'll pull it off your corpse.
In my suitcase. It's wrapped in brown paper.
Was that so hard?
Why are you doing this? If you wanted Jack dead, you had more than enough means to kill him.
We don't want him dead yet. As you said, we have the means to make him hurt very bad, and we intend to use those means to their fullest.
What's gonna happen to me then?
Mary, to put it bluntly, You're just another one of my tools. Tools are used to be a means to an end. So therefore, very soon, you'll outlive your usefulness. You think I'm gonna let you live when I've already seen you try to destroy me? You must think me an idiot.
Well, maybe I do.
Well, it doesn't matter at this point, so as a celebration of our now ending marriage, take a drink for Mary. It'll be your last. Oh, Bishop, this is a strong one. Where'd you get this?
Mr. Simmons, we had a deal. You bring Jack into my grasp, and I get him.
Bishop, what'd you do to me?
You left me with no choice. You were going to cut me out of the deal.
No. No, please. I'm sorry. I promise. Just help me out here. I'll give you what you want. Money. Taylor, I'd grab this city in my hand and serve it to you on a silver platter.
The city is like sand. It just sifts through your fingertips. You were losing control of it anyway. Now, it's time to hand it off to someone more capable.
Damn you. Damn you all. This city will rot without me. Don't you understand? I will not take this lightly.
He's dead. Good riddance.
Oh, thank you for saving me. Now may you please cut me loose?
There seems to be a miscommunication. Don't think I did this for you. Simmons and my crossroads were close to separating, and I had to remove him before he could cut me out of the equation.
So what does this mean for me?
Nothing at all. You'll still die just as soon. Except for this time, I have no reason to make it any less painful. Now, seeing as we only have a few hours, I suggest you get some rest. Wake up! Wake up!
What? Where am I? What's going on? Mary, what are you doing here? Are you all right?
I'm right here, Jack, and yes, for the moment I'm doing fine.
Take a closer look, Jack. Surely you must recognize this building.
Wait a minute. This is the Embassy Savings Bank. This is the bank that...
Tell her why you left the Kingsmen. Don't hide your sins.
Jack, what's going on?
Mary, I think it's finally time to tell you what happened when I decided to leave the Kingsmen. Roger, you're asking too much of me. It's unfair.
Jack, we're moving in a direction. A bolder direction. We won't be able to advance if you keep letting the emotions get the better of us. Now, are you going to go back to being the one who gets stepped on? You're going to join us as a white knight of the Kingsmen.
Hey, be careful with that. You heard what Simmons said. In and out. One little explosion, and the Kingsmen will be filthy rich.
Just shut up. I know what Simmons wants. I got a lot on the line, too. I get a whole district if this job goes right.
Good luck with that. You'll have 100 guys at your throat by then.
Last night, tragedy struck the city as what seems to be a ruptured gas line caused an explosion at the Embassy Bank of New York City. Police report 3 dead. Among these were Stuart Nicholson, Ralph Watterson, and Susan Taylor.
You said that no one would get hurt.
You can't seriously be blaming me, can you?
Yes, I'm blaming you. You miscalculated and now it's all ruined.
How'd I miscalculate?
You said the building would be empty.
Doesn't matter. We're filthy rich.
Yes, it matters. That explosion killed my wife.
Listen, I'm sorry. I am. But hey, look at the bright side. You got the job. What'd you do that for? You got what you wanted.
Not so sure I did. I quit. I didn't come back. After the incident, it became harder for the politicians to justify sweeping Simmons under the rug. He lost about 50% of his control over the city in one night, and me leaving him lost over half his men's respect.
That stunt of yours was the riskiest thing the Kingsmen had done in years. You and Simmons failed and put the rest of us on the chopping block.
Where is Simmons?
He was a variable and was unpredictable, so I did what I had to do for the Kingsmen. I removed him from the equation, and in a few moments, you'll be gone too. Corrupt men shouldn't hold control over the city.
You don't understand. That's why I left the Kingsmen in the first place. Don't you think I feel guilt? Isn't that the payment for my crimes?
You liar! Your wife died in that fire. Did you mourn? How long did it take before you kissed another man's wife in an alleyway?
Why do you care so much about my life? I'm sorry. You're right. What I did was unforgivable, but is killing me going to make it any better?
You have no idea. You have no idea the struggle I went through, Jack, because of your mistake. 10 years and not a second thought about me? You destroyed my life.
Susan? Oh my goodness, is that you?
I'm surprised it took you so long to figure it out.
How? I was at your funeral. You were dead.
Really? Was I? Did you even bother to check? After the explosion, a few of Simmons's men took what they thought was a charred corpse to clean up some of the evidence of their crime. When I got up and moved, they certainly got the shock of their lives. Simmons believed he could just use me, make me into a tool, something designed to manipulate you back into the King's men. See how well that worked out for him?
Susan, please, let me see you.
This is me now, Jack.
Let me see my wife. Take off your mask.
The woman you loved is gone.
I've spent almost a decade mourning. At least let me see you.
If you insist.
The metal mask began to peel off her skin, as if the burns had set into the stainless steel. Underneath was a twisted amalgamation of scars never allowed time to heal while compressed in the metal.
Sometimes life isn't fair, Jack. Like how you'll never look into the face of your wife, and how I'm the one who has to carry the consequences of your mistake with me. You asked me why I wear the mask?
Yes?
You betrayed me! Imagine having to look at yourself in the mirror every day and knowing how your spouse lied to you, and the devastation that happened to you because of that lie. I wear the mask to hide the ugly and painful truth of your lies and betrayal. I remade myself.
Mary, were you in on this?
No, of course not. I went to you because I honestly wanted to take down my husband.
Mary, that may be what you think, but in this day and age, there are ways to get people to do what you want.
Like what?
Nothing much, just something as simple as leaving a newspaper advertisement for a local detective open on your desk the night after a fight with your husband, as well as slipping a page from his ledger into your own purse. Manipulation these days, Mary. It's all about subtlety.
Nancy, why are you here? What could you possibly gain from my downfall?
Not your downfall, it's just me and your wife both benefit if you're out of the picture.
How?
When I used to work as Simmons' secretary, I got paid triple what you pay me now.
What do I have to do with this?
Not you, her.
How did I cost you your job?
Simmons gave you the job I had for 7 years because you gave him some stupid sob story about your injured father. I was promised if I could follow instructions, I'd get my old job back with double my original pay.
Is money really worth killing your friend?
Yes, you're not my friend. You're my employer. And in this city, money is the best friend a girl like me can get.
How?
How what?
How did you pull this off?
That is the most satisfying thing of this whole story. Once Simmons and I realized that Mary had a high potential for mutiny, we hired Nancy to publish an advertisement for Taylor Detective Agency. We knew that Jack would ally with Mary because they both had a mutual disdain for the Kingsmen.
That's where I came in. I sent a signal outside to the current White Knight of the Kingsmen when you arrived at the office. They then sacrificed themselves as a plant, so you would be able to acquire the Knight's chess piece.
The White Knight was a plant?
If he was really so intent on killing, why wouldn't he have shot me unless he was in on it?
And this is the best part. Simmons told you he wouldn't give you the ledger unless you brought Maroney into his company. Who do you think gave the tip to the cops that Maroney was embezzling funds?
Why would you do that?
Because Maroney ran this bank, and by bringing him into custody...
The Embassy Savings Bank was shut down, allowing us to hold our meeting here today in peace.
We knew that Mary would insist that she take the ledger, so on my end I was in charge of slipping Jack something in his drink to keep him unconscious until now.
When Mary came back home, she gave us back our ledger and I poisoned Roger Simmons. Now, we should all be caught up. Any questions?
What are you going to do with us?
We're going to do to you, Jack, what you did to me 10 years ago. Under this bank, there are dozens of explosives, large enough to start a fire, killing you, but not large enough to hurt anyone on the outside as you did so many years ago.
Susie, Bishop, whatever you want to be called, this isn't you.
You don't know me anymore. You haven't known me for the past 10 years.
Fine, you're right, but murder? Murder isn't the path you want to take. Just think about what you're doing.
I've thought about it. I've thought about it enough.
You're insane.
Maybe, but that's not exactly what one wants to say to their captor, is it?
Can you let Mary go? Your problem is with me, isn't it?
When I was burned in the fire, I lost the one I love. I'm only making it fair.
Lost the man you loved. Susan, I'm right here. I didn't go anywhere.
Would you go back home right now and try to live the life like we used to? Right now?
Well, no, but that has more to do with the fact that you're about to kill me more than anything.
Exactly. The true pain here comes from our heart. If you don't break, it won't count.
Wait, give me a chance. Who told you I love Jack?
I'm not trying to break your heart, only his. Who cares if you love him?
I'm sick of being dragged with no control of my life. If I can break his heart, can I get to live?
Possibly. What do you have in mind?
Let me out, give me the gun, let me shoot him.
No, that's my right. He must die by the fire.
I'll do it non-lethally, just enough for him to feel the pain, and then I walk out.
I don't know. Is that enough to break his heart?
If you burn me with him, he could die before me. He could die before his heart's broken.
But if you shoot him, he'll know immediately you don't love him.
You can't be considering this. We are so close to success.
We? This is not a we effort. You did what as you were told. This was my creation. The sweat off my brow. Don't forget yourself, or you may not find a place in my new order.
Not find a place? That's not fair. You can't just take my prize away after I put in all this work for your plan. You must be some stupid half-wit.
Nancy!
It's better this way. Now I don't have to be bothered to even remember her name.
So do we have a deal?
Yes. Break him down to his very essence.
Let's do it. So, are you going to give me a gun?
You must mistake me for an idiot. I'll hold the gun. I'm just letting you pull the trigger.
What?
Not what you think? Did I call your bluff? I don't like liars, Mary. Do you know what I do to liars?
Let them go?
You're funny. I like funny people. So I'll tell you what I'll do with this gun. I won't kill you. I'll just shoot you in the leg. When the fire starts, you'll try to crawl your way out, but then you'll realize too little, too late that you're too slow, and by the time the firemen get here, they'll see your charred corpse reaching for the decimated doorway.
Wait, what?
Ah!
But Mary, are you alright?
Oh, not entirely, but I'm still alive.
Sue, I'll kill you for that.
You already have. Jack, you were the one who dug your grave. I'm just the one asking you to lay in it. Oh, look at this bloody mess. I think I'm done here. Cheerio. Have a good life, Jack. Whatever's left of it.
The fire grew fast. It started in the back, crawling slowly enough I could see the time I had left count down in front of me. Bishop walked out fast. I never really got to apologize for everything I did to her. Well, it's over now. If I couldn't get Mary out of here, that would be my biggest regret. Mary, what are you doing?
I'm coming back. I'll get you inside.
No, don't. At the rate you're moving, you'll never be able to make it out yourself.
I know, but I can't let you die.
And I can't let you. Go. Just go. Get out of here.
I don't want to leave you.
If you stay, we're both not going to make it. It's you or no one.
Okay, I'm just going to try to untie this knot. Oh, it's stuck. Jack, I'm trying. I really am.
Mary, just go. There's 5 knots anyway. By the time you get one done, we'll both be ablaze. Just face it. I'm not getting out of here. But if you start crawling, maybe you can.
Jack, I'm sorry.
I know. I'm sorry about all of this.
I love you, Jack.
I love you too. Now go, quickly.
While I normally refuse to follow psychopath's advice, I did start to crawl when the flame got moving. I turned to my side. I had one small glance at Jack. He had that smug look on his face, already accepting his fate. If I kept spending my time feeling bad for him, I wasn't going to make it out either. In my last glance, I gave him a small smile, almost as if to apologize, but for what I didn't know.
The flames were lapping at my pant legs. The door was open. Mary got out. Good. Bishop was wrong. Nancy's corpse was completely covered in the flame. I felt bad, but in the end it was her choices that brought her here, not me. The flame was rising. It stung, but you know what? As the flame surrounded me, all I thought was, I could feel, and so I was safe.
After I got out of the fire, policemen found me and took me into custody to interrogate. The rope burns on my arm and the regular burns on my leg validated my story. After they released me, they published my survival from the fire in the local rag, against my wishes. In less time than I thought, Bishop contacted me and called me to Simmons building, but this time I was ready for it.
Welcome back. It's interesting to see that you survived. I must have miscalculated your possible highest speed. Well, that's all right. There's 100 possible ways to kill you now that you're here. All I have to do is just pick the best one. You shot me? How?
Unlike you, I don't need years to plan how to kill someone. I just do it.
After Bishop's and my death, the Kingsmen was dismantled. No Simmons, but no financial backer, and the lack of Bishop or I left a natural power vacuum. Took only a few hours before the Kingsman was at its own throat. Better off anyway. The city's not meant to be ruled by one person, but then it doesn't work well but ruled by a group of people, so what do I know? I knew I was going to die. While I didn't suspect it would be at my wife's hand, I knew it was coming. That's why, while I was changing before my date with Mary, I wrote a letter. A letter that wasn't allowed to be sent until after the following day. The day after the second fire at the Embassy Savings Bank. The day that I died. The letter read,
October 18th, 1945. Dear Mary, I don't know how to start these things. Life has a funny way of dealing with people. Funny the way how age-old friends can grow to enemies, and funny the way that strangers can fall in love. What I'm trying to say is, I know that something is going to happen to me tomorrow, and all I can say is sorry. Sorry that I didn't get the chance for that second date. Sorry that somehow, despite our efforts, everything could go so wrong. So I'll tell you now what I need to tell you. Don't waste your life like so many others trying to fill a void with power. It never works. I speak from experience that all it leaves is pain and emptiness. Thank you for giving me a chance to feel free from that for just a second. Love, Jack.
Thank you. This has been a minor exchange.
Starring
Miles Clark as Jack Taylor.
Emmaline Verratti as Mary Simmons.
Nick Saia is Roger Simmons.
Arianna Hayes as Bishop.
Crystalina Baumer is Nancy Castiglia and Newscaster.
Elise Baumer is Sergeant O'Leary, George Reynolds, Howard Maroney, and the White Knight.
With special thanks to Jaden Coletta, Mackenzie White, Miss Burkett, and Mr. Schaus on sound, as well as Mrs. B.D. and Mrs. Gilman as our advisors.